We know parents and teachers are still adjusting to what's become the new normal in the educational world, but private preschools don't fall into the same educational funding. Pathways Learning in Regina has been closed since March 18th, but its co-founders are staying in touch with their students virtually. I'm joined by speech-language pathologist and Pathways co-founder Megan Mason. Megan, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So to start off with, what happens in these classes?
Our classes focus primarily on building communication skills, speech and language specifically, because we involve speech-language pathologists in our programming. So communication is a high focus in our programming, along with socialization, building emotional intelligence, and really focusing on kind of those foundational skills that we know are the real, kind of building blocks for kindergarten readiness. So our classes focus on those all year round.
It is difficult, at this time for anyone to really start to feel connected. So it is great to kind of embrace the virtual world. But who do you think benefits the most from these lessons?
Well, we have been getting a lot of positive feedback from parents. Our episodes are about half an hour long right now, that we're doing 2 live classes every week on Tuesday, Thursday mornings. So like I said, they're about half an hour in length, and we are getting lots of messages from parents saying, like, thank you so much. I was able to just sit back for a bit, or I actually had a hot cup of coffee. So I being a parent myself, I think parents are really benefiting. But at the same time, we've had lots of parents typing in live saying, oh, my son is singing along, or my daughter is answering your questions. So I think even just that little bit of interaction and that routine and a little bit of normalcy is really benefiting the kids as well.
So you are finding that the kids are actually engaging and finding it almost that substitute for being there in person?
Yeah, we our programming, we normally use a slow rate of talking, and we pose questions to the kids, and we know that kids need a little bit more processing time to answer questions. So those are kind of the ways that we normally conduct ourselves in our classroom. But so now, it's myself or the other co-founder, Carrie, we're talking to the computer, but we're posing questions, and then children, their parents are typing in, or we've had people say, my child was screaming at the TV to answer your question. So I really think that the kids are really getting engaged in that interactive experience. And yeah, we've had lots of positive feedback that it's been really fun. So I really think it's working the way we were hoping it would.
So it's just the parents and the kids that are watching these lessons then?
Yes. Yeah, we originally, like you had mentioned, intended to kind of reach our students and our audience, but we've had our very first video now has been viewed over 4,000 times. And in that first episode, we had people tuning in from Nunavut, Halifax, lots in Alberta, and even Chicago. So it's reached way farther than we thought it would.
Wow, connecting the country.
Yeah.
So, it is a very difficult time, and parents I know are having a little bit of trouble maybe with keeping their kids entertained and everything. But what is your best advice to parents who are helping homeschool their kids? Because it can be a big undertaking.
I think it's been going on for almost a month now. So I know that even myself as a parent, we feel this pressure, so to speak, to keep the learning going and keep the routines. And, certainly there are some days where for my kids, the routines and a little bit of, letters or numbers helps them to feel a little bit, it settles them down a little bit. I think those things are important. That consistency, that predictability, routines can have a place for children in helping them understand their day. But at the same time, we've had our share of movie and pajama days here, and I think just kind of taking it one day at a time. If it's a more stressful day or you've got more work deadlines, I think just being kinder on ourselves as parents too, giving ourselves that break to just breathe, and maybe learning that day happens while you count Olaf's buttons or while you go for a walk. I think just that balance of trying to get it done, but understanding that this is really unprecedented time for parents and for families in general. So go easy on yourselves and focus more on that connection piece with your kids. And if it involves snuggling on the couch or something, or just going for a nice walk, those things are really valuable for your young children as well.
That's great advice. Thank you so much, Megan, for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
Megan Mason is a speech-language pathologist and co-founder of Pathways Learning in Regina.